I'd like to welcome everybody to the Planning Commission, City of Lake Forest, September 8th meeting, or 9th. Are we the 8th or the 9th? 8th, thank you. And we'll start, as we always do, with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Public comments, do we have any tonight, Peggy?
None.
Okay. We have presentation items, though, and we're first going to hear from Joseph Rico, our City Enforcement Officer, on everything good and maybe a couple bad things going on in the city.
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. I'm Joseph Rico. I'm filling in for Darrell Hill. I'll be giving you the report for code enforcement activities for the second quarter. During the first quarter, code enforcement added 213 new cases to the 301 cases carried over from the first quarter of 2016. We closed 192 cases during the same period. We began the second quarter of 2016 with an active caseload of 322 cases. Two visual references are attached to this report, a chart and a graph that depicts various aspects of Code Enforcement Division activity for the first quarter. These visual references include a distribution of cases by major category and a comparison by census tract, residential and non-residential cases. As Code Enforcement Division enters the third quarter of 2016, we continue to provide balanced assistance and educational resources for residential and business communities while ensuring the safety improvement on preservation of the city. Please let me know if you have any questions regarding this report or any other code enforcement issues.
Thank you very much, Joseph. Does anybody have any questions?
I do. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you.
It seems that the last couple of quarters we've had kind of a trend in upward cases. Is there something that you guys have identified in terms of that? Our caseload seems to be growing instead of shrinking.
Well, it just depends. Sometimes, like during, it's just, we get complaints in some areas. In some areas, we're proactive.
Mm-hmm.
So, in Area 2, those are mostly proactive cases.
Okay.
And those are me. I take care of that area.
Right.
And they're lower this time because I was out for 3 weeks, vacation and illness. The other area is just complaints, and sometimes we get low and people are complying, and then when new businesses come in, sometimes because they're not aware, we give them information regarding our sign ordinances and stuff, they forget, and so we go out there and send them a notice and open a case.
Yeah. I noticed that Area 2 is about 1/5 of the city from a boundary-wise, but it has about 50% of the actual cases. So I know that more attention needs to be spent in those areas, and I'm also looking at the graph, the chart that shows that the public nuisance seems to be rather large in comparison to those kind of and I don't have from the last report, so I didn't know exactly how that works out to the distribution from last time. Is there any, I'm looking for things that might be identifiable where you guys are focusing.
What I can tell you, Area 1 is primary HOA area.
Mm-hmm.
Area 2, I think, has only 2 HOAs.
Right.
So the HOAs kind of police themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and the areas that don't get policed by the residents, we do. We take care of that area.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to say because we have seasons where people are happy, and it just seems that usually during the summer it rises because people are out longer, taking walks, they notice things. In the wintertime, things are green, and people are indoors, so it kind of slows down a little bit.
So the number of calls from the public is reduced during the winter months as opposed to the summer months. Is that what the trend is?
Correct.
Okay, great. Thank you for your explanation. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Does anybody else have any more questions? Okay, hearing none, we are going to go on to our another presentation, which would be from Angel Cortez, our Assistant City Manager.
Assistant City Engineer.
I mean,
Thank you very much.
my brother, we gave you a promotion right here tonight.
A little bit of nepotism, that's okay.
If you just spell the name right.
Okay, good evening, Chairman Fuentes and members of the Planning Commission. The Public Works Quarterly Update is part of your meeting package. And I would like to bring to your attention a few of the projects that are currently under construction or have recently been completed. The first project is the ADA Phase 8 improvement project, which is building the slope over at Tamarisk Park, which would be an ADA accessible ramp coming from the street and leading into the park. And due to its location on the side of a slope, there is significant grading, a retaining wall, and handrails that would be part of the construction. Construction started early in July and is expected to be completed by the end of September. The second project is the ADA Phase 9 project, which constructed 18 ADA ramps throughout the city, and this project was completed in August. And the third project is the Portola widening project, which is currently under construction. This would result in an added third lane as Portola goes southbound underneath the toll road. That would be just striping through there. And also there will be landscape medians to beautify the roadway between the toll road and El Toro Road on Portola. That would conclude my report, and be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions? Great. Oh, we do. Sorry.
Yeah. Without getting into the politics of it, what's holding up the village pond?
I believe staff has a gag order on that one.
Okay, I thought that might be the case. All right, didn't mean to put you on the spot. Next question is item number 9, the Rockfield sink. That's been delayed. What's happening with that?
Which project was that?
Number 9, under the synchronization.
Generally, they change out the equipment, redo the timing, and then they evaluate the effects of those improvements and make modifications. But the Rockfield project, postponed.
Yeah, because that's very congested from one end of the city to another.
I believe we were waiting on funding from OCTA on that project.
All right.
All of these projects are grant funded using OCTA funds, and we compete with other cities for those funds. And we have that in the CIP, but when it competes with the other projects, it just hasn't been scoring very high compared to the others.
Okay, so it's in waiting.
Waiting for funding, yes.
Thank you.
Southback Ranch Road traffic enhancements, you mentioned here that it was completed in July of 2016. I think the last meeting I asked you if they were going to be doing any type of an evaluation to see if that correction had actually worked the way it was anticipated, or do you have any way of giving me any kind of metrics on how that's actually working?
Yes, they did some studies, and they've, when they adjust the speed limit, they have to, they take the speeds, and the speed is set at the 85th percentile. And when they did the improvements, they noticed that it was slowing the traffic down at the, I believe, the top of the hill. And I can't tell you for sure if I knew they were they were going to reduce the speed limit by 5, from 40 to 35, but let me get back to you on that to confirm for sure that they actually did that.
Yeah, I think it's important because it was an interest. It was a difficult project, and as part of it had to be redone. And I just, from the homeowner's perspective, it seems like it'd be a good idea to know that we really have accomplished what we intended to do there. And that's why I was curious about the metrics of that analysis and what the results were and how that was progressing.
I'll make sure I get you a report before the next meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've been interested in that same thing. I had an opportunity to have dinner with someone who lives up there last week, one night last week. And according to him and his observations, he wasn't of the opinion that it had been a very successful project, is probably the best way to phrase that. That he could not, in his mind, see any marked changes in the driving patterns, significantly marked changes in the driving patterns of the people that travel that. And I know that the residents that live up there would certainly like to have a little bit calmer, I think, from the standpoint of traffic. So I'm not sure if the observation was people that are using that as just a point of crossing rather than going around, coming up over Saddleback Ranch and coming that way or not. So it'll be interesting to see what you guys come up with. Yeah.
I'll make sure I report that
Okay.
before the next meeting.
Thank you. No more questions. We will move directly to our consent calendar.
Sorry.
May I have a motion?
Can I have a delayed question, please?
Of course you may.
Okay. The Civic Center, I think the last workshop was pushed back. Do we have an anticipated public workshop coming up for the Civic Center? Nothing?
No, I'm not aware of whether or not one's been scheduled. We can find out for you.
All right. Okay, thank you.
All right, Mark, you asked the question. No? Okay. All right, so now the consent calendar. Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
There's been moved and seconded. Let's vote. All right, that motion carries 5-0, and we're going to move right into our public hearing. So we'll open the public hearing, and we'll call on Nikki Wetzel, our planning manager, to introduce item 4.
Thank you, Chair Fuentes and members of the commission. The first item this evening is a use permit for a model home complex and a plan sign program for signage at the Encanto project, and we have a report from Ron Santos.
Good evening, Chair Fuentes and members of the Planning Commission. So this item is a use permit to establish a temporary model home complex and a plan sign program for both permanent neighborhood identification signs and temporary model home complex signs. Both applications correspond to the Encanto 52-unit single-family residential development, which is located southwest of the Alton Parkway Commerce Center Drive intersection. It's currently under construction, grading, you may have noticed. The Encanto project was reviewed by the Commission last November and approved by the City Council in December. The model home complex consists of 2 model homes, a 10-stall temporary parking lot, fencing, and a portable restroom. The garages would be temporarily used as a sales office and learning center. And upon termination of the model home complex, the garages would be converted back to garages, and the parking lot would be removed, and the 2 corresponding lots would be developed with single-family homes, consistent with the approved site development permit. The neighborhood ID signs consist of 1 4-square-foot and 1 3-square-foot wall-mounted signs consisting of just the project name, Encanto. The signs would be pin-mounted on previously approved walls, 1 at the Commerce Center Drive entry and 1 on the wall between the gates just up the driveway's ramp heading into the project site. Both signs would be externally illuminated. The model home complex signs consist of 6 different signs types, 17 signs in total. Each of those signs is described in detail in the staff report. Both requests are consistent with applicable codes and standards and are compatible with surrounding uses and are generally consistent with the model home complexes and neighborhood ID signs that have been approved for other residential projects in recent times. For that reason, staff is recommending approval of the use permit and plant sign program, and that concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you, Ron. Does anybody have questions of Ron? Or anybody, any of our staff?
I have one. I'm trying to remember on the original site plan we approved, weren't there 3 prototypes? They're having only 2? That's correct. Was there a modification? Or?
That's correct. There are 3 plan types for the project, but they are only creating 2 model homes.
Okay.
And the applicant is here, I should mention, and he might be able to answer the question as to why they opted not to do the 3rd.
It's not pressing. It was just, I just thought they had 3. So, all right.
Okay, so if there's no other questions, then we'll bring it up here. Does anybody have anything they would like to say about the project? Well, I thought I opened up the public hearing when I started, so, but we'll open it up again in case we need to. And do we have any speakers? All right. Rick Rush. Thank you.
Good evening, Rick Rush with Meritage Homes. I'm just here to answer any questions if the Commission has any questions regarding the project. In regards to your specific question, we don't always model all 3 plan types. It really just depends. It's a 52-unit project, so we will just model our Plan 2 and our Plan 3, and we feel confident that our Plan 1 will sell, not having it modeled. If we get to a point where we're having, once we get into construction, we'll be able to show people the Plan 1 that's under construction if they want to see that model or that floor plan. But just because of the project size, we decided just to go with two of the floor plans in the modeling.
How long do you anticipate the project will take to sell out?
We're hoping to sell 3 a month, so we're hoping just a little over a year and a half. That's the goal. You never know with the market, but we're getting some pretty good feedback based on our website and our information going out to the public. So we feel pretty confident that we can get 3 a month, hopefully 4 a month, and a year and a half, less than 2 years, we should be completely sold out.
Does anybody else have questions of the applicant while he's up here?
So just curious, if there's not a model home, if somebody is interested in, as you said, like Plan 1, do they have some sort of model in the showroom, or how does that work?
That specific floor plan, typically we'll go off of plans, or during construction, we'll start the houses in a production phase, and we'll basically, before we're selling them, and once we get to a certain point where the models or the homes are far enough along and they're safe enough, we could walk somebody through the house under kind of a supervised type of deal. We wouldn't let people just go look at them, but the salesperson could walk them through and they could kind of look and get a feel, because sometimes it's hard to picture what your house is going to look like off of paper plans. But we do this in various locations. We find it pretty successful.
Okay.
I have a question, probably for staff. Is the requirement, I noticed there's a restroom facility, a porta potty there. Was that a requirement of the city, or is that something that the developer volunteered?
It's not a city requirement. It's a developer proposal.
Okay. I just want to say it's a good idea. When I've gone to see the models, you see families and people coming along, and they usually have been driving from one place to another place to another place, and it's really inconvenient for them trying to find a restroom when they're house hunting. So that's a good idea, and it's a plus for you guys.
Thank you.
Do we have any more speakers? Okay, well, I think we can excuse you now. Thank you very much. Okay, so now we'll bring it back up here.
I'd make a motion to approve staff recommendation and close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded, and we will vote. And that motion carries 5-0, which takes us to item number 5, and I'm going to introduce Nikki Wetzel again and open the public hearing.
Thank you. This item is a site development permit for the establishment of Milestones Montessori, and we have a report from Amanda Loffer.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. The item before you tonight is a site development permit for the establishment of Milestones Montessori located at 23222 Lake Center Drive. Milestones Montessori would provide daycare and schooling for children ages 6 months through 7 years. The hours of operation are 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. The proposed facility could accommodate a maximum of 250 children and 28 employees at any given time. The applicant is proposing interior improvements to include 8 classrooms, a reception area, office, kitchen and laundry room, restrooms, and an 11,250 square foot indoor play area. The applicant is also proposing exterior modifications that include a 5,700 square foot outdoor play area that wraps around the building elevations along Mercury Road and Lake Center Drive, new building facades, new landscaping, and parking lot modifications to accommodate additional parking stalls. The applicant submitted a traffic analysis study that was reviewed by the city's traffic engineer. The city's traffic engineer determined that the study is adequate for the proposed project and that the project will not create any significant traffic impacts to the surrounding area. This project meets all requirements of the zoning code and is consistent with the general plan designation and city design guidelines. Therefore, staff is recommending approval of this site development permit and would be happy to answer any questions. Also, the applicant is here this evening if you have any questions. And the architect did bring a colored rendering and materials for you guys, and there's also one available for public viewing on the side over here. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Does anybody have questions for Amanda? Okay, so do we have speakers on this item? Yes, we do. Okay. Tom Pham? If you would please state your name and city of residence.
Hi, my name is Tom Pham, and I live in the city of Huntington Beach, and I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Are you the architect, the applicant?
Oh,
the-
sorry, I'm the applicant, yes.
Okay, so you're going to be running the school.
Well, my wife does.
Oh, of course, the woman. All right, so does anybody have any questions of the applicant?
What are the ages of the kids that are in here? I know Montessori's usually has up till, I don't know, 12th grade or 8th grade or whatever. What?
Yes, we specialize in infant to first grade.
Okay.
I have a question on the north side. The existing trees there are being removed. Is that because there's not enough depth in the parking space, or what's the reason for the trees to be removed?
Can you help with that, Ron? I mean, Amanda, sorry. Ron, you can chime in too if you'd like.
I believe they're only removing the tall eucalyptus trees along the bordering hotel property, but they are replacing it with additional trees, so it could be that the eucalyptus trees are too tall or pose a hazard. I'm not sure if there's a specific reasoning for that, but they are replacing those eucalyptus trees with, I believe it's crepe myrtle trees. So.
I was just curious if whether they needed an extra foot or so to get the parking spaces, parking requirement in there or not. Are you aware of why they're being removed?
Those trees, in terms of the parking, and also as well as they're, in a way, they're kind of spooky, and anything tall children get scared of. And they also, we just want to, redesign the whole place to make it look modern and new to liven up the location.
Well, it doesn't appear we have any more questions, so, oh, we do, sorry.
No, I don't have any questions.
Tom does.
You notice in your application, you're going to take up to 250 children plus 28 employees. How do you propose to keep children from running around the parking lot, and how do you protect them from the vehicle traffic coming in and out of the parking lot?
Yeah, we we study that a great deal because safety is the number one priority, and so we only have one entrance. So the architect and us, we designed only one entrance, main one, to go in with a double door entry. And when they enter, there's always a receptionist there full time, and then from there they still have to enter in a coded lock, and then they're able to enter the building. And so that's the only way in or out of the building, except for emergency fire-related escape route.
My question more specifically relates to when the parents bring the children in the parking lot and they're taking them back to the car in the parking lot. I notice there's it looks like appears to be a turnaround in there.
Yes, that's correct. We have a
How does that
location.
work?
We have a location in Huntington Beach and Irvine as well, and we notice that every time we do these roundabouts, it slows down traffic tremendously. And that was the main thing that we wanted to do, because the fire department wouldn't allow us to put bumpers because they need to move fast, so they don't want bumpers to slow down traffic. So one of the main way that helped a lot was every time parents drive into the roundabout, suddenly everyone slows down. Even if there's no stop sign, they slow down and then they turn around. By the time they turn around, they're already putting their foot over the brake.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate you answering the question.
You're welcome.
Question of staff. This is the second time we approved a project for that building. I was just curious, it has nothing to do with this applicant, but I was just curious, why did the other applicant fall out? Do you know?
After approval of the use permit for the dog daycare, they submitted to the building department for review, and staff was notified that the applicant was no longer pursuing that location. I'm not sure if it was something with their their agreement for purchasing the property or what it was, but they have withdrawn their application. They did not want to locate at this location.
I have a question, maybe two. With regard to the roundabout, go back, Ken, what is the physical structure going to look like? Is that going to be a raised median that's in there to slow the traffic down, or is it just going to be striped? What's the construction?
Oh, it's going to be like 6-inch high, so that way they know that it's raised, so then they turn around.
Okay, so 6 inches, so that would then not impede fire, emergency vehicles, fire, ambulance, is that correct?
That's correct. We worked closely with them and got those verified. Yes.
Okay, I like it. I mean, I like the idea of doing that. I think it's a wise idea because I concur that anytime you've got children and you've got vehicles, you've got a problem.
Yeah, appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. The other thing is the area that's designated around the perimeter for a play area. How is that separated from the public, the sidewalk in that area? What is the fencing, if you will? What's that?
Yes, so we worked closely with city staff, and so we moved back another 5 foot from the pedestrian walkway.
Okay.
So that way we can have 3-tier landscaping as well.
Okay, so there's going to be a landscape border, and then there's going to be the material that separates the play area from the public.
Yes, exactly.
And what is that material going to be, please?
That's like a patio, and so that patio will look nice to the point where it doesn't look like it's a lot of fence. And so we work closely with staff as well to have that area looking modern, like a upper class restaurant patio type.
Okay, so it'll be see-through where the children at play are visible, those kind of things?
Yes, semi, because the landscape will also cover.
Sure, the landscape will impede that, but it would be like a wrought iron kind of a structure, or?
It'll be, yeah, it's steel structure, but it's got really nice framing and
Okay.
glass, so that
Yeah.
way it looks doesn't look cage-like.
Oh, yeah,
It looks
well,
really nice.
yeah, obviously, that's not going to be the case. My questioning is, what's the visibility of that play area to the general public, is what I'm trying to arrive at.
Yes, the general public will be able to see partly, like maybe number one is we don't really want someone to walk over and look down. So it's kind of like they drive by and they can see through a little bit, but not too much where it's it causes them to get too distracted while they're driving or and we have the same setup at Irvine, and it's really good because parents, they want privacy, but also doesn't impede traffic as well.
Okay. What's the intersection of your facility in Irvine, may I ask?
It's in the cross street of Barranca and Armstrong. It's right across from the new Tustin Legacy, and it's right across from Walmart, in the back of Walmart, next to Staples.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I have a question. Can you explain the thinking behind the design of the toilet facilities? I noticed you have drinking fountains, you have lavatories, and you have water closets.
Yes.
And I noticed in one you have the turnaround for a wheelchair that's required. It appears there's no stalls, or the toilet's just open. How does that work?
Yes, we are regulated by child care inspectors. They come inspect, all the time, quarterly, or whenever there's a parent complaint. And when they come, they always want the number one thing is for the teachers to be able to visually see the child at all times. Even though they're still inside the classroom, there could be a child hiding in the restroom, and so they always want it to be open so the teachers can manage them properly, even when they're not inside the restroom itself. So it's they like it open, so that way, number one, there's not a lot of tripping hazards for the children, and number two is for their safety as well.
Okay. Because I noticed in one of the rooms there's 5 water closets.
Yes, that's correct.
So that one time 5 children could be in there taking care of what they
yes,
have to.
yes, exactly. They have a certain criteria where a child cannot be left alone in a restroom or in the classroom or in the playground. So one teacher ratio can be in there and take care of them or be visual. And number two is for each toilet there, the city or the child care licensing allows 15 children to be enrolled. So each toilet will accommodate 15 children. So if let's say you have 16 children, then that means you're over ratio, and the inspectors won't like that. And that's why there are 5 in there, and multiply by 15 children each. And that's how you get the classroom allowed by the inspectors.
Thank you for clearing that up. All those water closets really raise the cost of the improvements.
Yes.
Just real quick regarding the rear fencing that's visible to the public. So somebody walking by could just be standing and watching the children, or that's what I'm getting at, I guess. Is it enough that it's obstructed that would be hard to do? And then also, I know we talked about wrought iron, maybe we do the exact construction of the fence, but it would be virtually impossible for a child to get through and get out or get over, isn't it?
Yes, of course. Yes, we have it high to the point where that way there won't be anybody climbing in or out of the area, and it'll be semi-visible, but not really visible because we don't want people always looking in.
Sure.
Yeah, parents don't like that. Yeah.
Do you have any type of video surveillance on the property?
Yes, we have video around the parking, around the main receptionist area as well. but not in the classroom itself, but surrounding for burglars, etc.
It's not clear to me what the parking lot lighting is. What do you have in the way of parking lot lighting? You light the parking lot when it gets dark, since you can operate in the winter after 6 o'clock when it's dark?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
What do you have in the way of parking lot lighting? How you illuminate the parking lot? Is it lit up, or do you have?
Oh, yes. We have the engineers would always do the parking lot lighting. We have to redo the whole parking lot lighting, so there will be enough lighting for like a pole lighting, so it'll be high, and walkway will be lit up as well.
So that lighting will also be shaded in such a way that it won't affect the neighbors?
That's correct. Yeah, it'll be shaded. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just one other question on the video. Who would be monitoring that?
The video, we have it on site.
No, I understand, but like, if somebody's climbing over the fence or whatever, who would see that? Is there somebody the receptionist, or is there somebody that has the monitor that's kind of
Yes.
scanning it and keeping an eye on that, or who would bet that?
Yeah, we always have a receptionist on staff for any parent who walks in and out. Even when they even if they have a passcode, the staff would be like, "Oh, you're a grandparent. You still need to sign in," for example. And so, right there where she does all of her receptionist, one is a computer, and right next to her is a big monitor where it breaks down a lot of the cameras as well. So she'll have a really good visual around where she's working at all times.
Okay, so you have someone that's essentially assigned to
Yes.
monitor that in addition to whatever else they do. Okay.
Yes, exactly. We try to make it really, really safe, so that way, that's one of the key component in the architect.
And one more comment. I find the solution, the design, the time and effort that went into it on both part of the city, part of the applicant, is very creative. I'm glad to see that happen. Thank
I
you.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm looking at your hours of operation are 7 a.m. to 5:45 p.m. Is that what I'm understanding?
I think it's later than that, maybe.
Thought they said 6 in the presentation, just till 6 p.m.
6:30 p.m.
6:30, okay. Yeah, I hadn't thought of something until a comment was just made about illumination. As we get into the winter months, obviously, it's going to be getting dark around 4:15, 4:30-ish, so you will be operating for potentially, let's say, 2 hours after the sun has gone down, and so having proper illumination, I think, is going to be really critical, especially in that area, because at nighttime you've got nighttime traffic coming through there. It's going to be a higher count, and I'm sure you're getting from the tone that's being demonstrated up here that safety is a huge concern.
Yes.
You're looking at putting a large school in an area that's really somewhat challenging in those terms. So we're not trying to beat a dead horse, I don't think, up here, but I think we want to make sure that children's safety is the key, and I'm getting from you that you have that same philosophy.
That's our number one philosophy, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, if you don't have a safe place, you don't have any students.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, whenever if we run into staff issues, we always have to have somebody there. It's very important.
Okay, so at the nighttime, obviously, the parking lot will be illuminated. Maybe I'm just being conclusive here, but I'm sure that the play area will no longer be in use, that the children will be sheltered inside and waiting for their respective parents to come in and pick them up. Is that my understanding?
The playground is actually not accessible to anybody outside.
Right.
So, so at a certain time, like around, let's say, 5 o'clock, when their outdoor time is up, then they bring them into the classrooms and wait for the parent to walk into the classroom and pick them up.
Okay, so will that outdoor play area be illuminated also or not?
It will, when they don't use it anymore, then probably they're going to turn off the lights.
No, I'm just asking, will there be illumination available outside there?
Oh, of course, yes. There'll be illumination all throughout, so that
Okay.
way there'll be nice and bright even all along the pedestrian sidewalk as well.
Okay.
You know, the more lights, the better.
Oh, well, yeah, and this is a point, I think, that you've got, your video system is going to be on full-time.
Yes.
And, and I don't know anything about cameras, but I'm sure that the technology's there, that whether it's illuminated or not, they can pick up things
Yes.
on there. So I would think that area you would want to be under surveillance, even if it's not being occupied by any of the students.
Yes, that's correct. 24 hours is always on, and it has night vision as well, so,
Okay,
yes.
good, thank you.
And also, because of the age of the kids, you may have parents picking a child up at 3 o'clock or 4 or 3, whatever. It wouldn't be that all, let's say you're at max capacity, 250 wouldn't be
Yeah.
always showing up at 6 o'clock every day. So
Yeah, they 6 o'clock is not really, only like about 10%. By that time, 3 or 4 or 5 is already, most of them already picked up, and they picked up sporadically. They don't. So in the city of Huntington Beach and Irvine, Irvine's almost full, but we have no issues with traffic. So in Huntington Beach, we're full, but we haven't had any issues with traffic. And the key component is the safety, which the roundabout is almost like a must for us every time we think about it.
is the Montessori one in Huntington Beach, is that on Clay Street still, or is that in a different
That's on
location?
Brookhurst and Garfield.
Okay.
One last comment, if I may. This is for staff. It seems that we've been approving increased activities in that area, and which is a good thing. I look at that intersection there in the corner, and I think over time, maybe we can contact Public Works or something, look at the idea of having designated pedestrian crossings there, because cars do come swinging in and they go up north. They swing right past that corner really fast.
The corner of Mercury and Lake Center?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Please.
One last question, then I'll leave you alone. In terms of fire protection, is the building sprinklered, and what do you do in terms of fire protection and fire security?
Yes, the building will be sprinklered everywhere, including the outdoor playground as well. So that way, there's even more protection than necessary. So we will always follow the fire inspection code when they come out to inspect the fire sprinkler. It'll be up to date and pretty much throughout the entire building.
Thank you.
I just want to piggyback on Commissioner De Almeida's comments about the traffic flow, because you see a lot of traffic coming from northbound I-5 off of the freeway there, as well as eastbound on Lake Forest Drive that use Lake Center Drive as a shortcut to avoid the intersection. And that's been one of my primary concerns when I've been looking at this, and I'm thinking, I don't know that I want to put a school with potentially 250 children in an area where the traffic could get out of control. So if you're being asked a lot of questions, you're really not. You're calming at least my concerns. I can say that to a degree. So I think the city really does need to look at how that flow of traffic can be better managed in there. I think we do want to try to slow it down. We can't minimize, well, I don't know if we can minimize. If we slow it down, we might minimize it just by natural causes. But I would be much happier about this if we could do something to either slow it down or stem the flow of it. And that's a big concern that I have about the flow of traffic that goes through that intersection.
If I may, I think that if we had two visible pedestrian crosswalks there, it would alert the motorist that the potential for pedestrians are there, and hopefully that psychologically will help them slow down. But they do swing around that corner really fast in both directions.
Well, wouldn't it be posted as a school zone anyway?
Well, that's a thought.
Because it's basically, it's children, and to me, it ought to be a 25-mile-an-hour zone.
Yeah, that would be my thought, is to find a way that we can post that as a school zone right there. That might make a few people a little unhappy, but I think our job is to protect those children as much as we can.
Yeah, we greatly appreciate that.
Actually, that's a good idea, because if you bring that speed limit down, there's only a few feet you travel anyway, so you're losing a fraction of a second or a fraction of a minute. So setting a lower speed limit for that area would be, I think, worthwhile.
And I think that might divert some of that traffic to go on up to the intersection so that it goes across Rockfield instead of cutting across and through there. Who knows?
Well, there's so many driveways in that particular Mercury Road and Lake Center. There's so many drives where people are coming in and out. You don't want them going too fast through there anyway.
Okay. Drill is over. You may sit down. Thank you very, very much. All right, so we have another speaker. Peter Haddad.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Peter Haddad. I live and work in Huntington Beach. I'm the project architect, and I can clarify anything else that needs to be answered. I will clarify the patio wall, because it seemed to be lost on that. There is going to be an actual, aside from the landscape buffer, there's a low wall that's going in, and the actual material above that is a glass, almost like a storefront system, that will not be scalable at all, and it's about 8 feet above the wall, so it's nearly impossible for anybody to really get up that. So that will be the barrier of protection for the children within that outdoor play area. The other thing that you may not have noticed on the plan is that there's a really large indoor play area, and that will most likely be used in the event that they want to corral the kids on the inside more when there's not as many kids in there. And then the other thing too, as far as the parking lot lighting, we're actually subjected by code to have a certain amount of foot candle lighting on the surface area of the parking lot, and that'll get analyzed when we get our construction drawings done, and we'll have to meet that minimum requirement throughout the entire parking area. So we will be very well illuminated in that sense. So any other questions?
And I appreciate you filling in those blanks, because that's been a concern of mine, not so much the students leaving the school as much as people that you don't want to have come into the school. And that's a difficult area to put a school in my opinion. And I came in here wanting to learn more what it was really all about from the applicant yourself, just simply because my comfort zone was pretty low.
Sure.
And I can say that so far it's been rising, which is a good thing. From your standpoint, it's a good thing. But my primary concern is, I'm sure my colleagues.
From all of our standpoint, Jerry, it's a very good thing.
Yeah, I mean, you get the tenor of what we're talking about here.
Of course, yes.
If it's not good for the safety of the kids and for this community, it's not good for it. But you're doing a good job in presenting it.
We went through a really arduous process with the second school in Irvine, and it actually took about 9 months for us to get through it. And we went through a lot of extra safety measures and steps, and we're basically implying them here now on this project. So we're trying to repeat the model that works.
All right.
There we go.
So are there any more questions of the architect tonight?
I have a comment. You did a great job. I like
you.
what you've done.
Well,
Yeah.
give credit to the client. That's what they wanted.
Well, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have any more speakers, Peggy? None. Okay. So we will bring it back up here, and just in case we haven't said enough. I mean, we said great things, but we probably have some more things to say. Or not.
I'm quite impressed with this project. A little concerned when I saw a school of 250 students. That kind of turns on my radar, especially in that location. But I think the architect and the applicant have done a really good job of mitigating most of the issues there. So I feel like it will be a good project, and the city will be well enhanced by your being here. So thank you for coming.
Yeah, I think we've been the recipients to a large degree of the the test case that they've experienced in their other applications. So maybe we should send a letter of thank you to the city of Irvine. I don't know, but as I already said, my comfort level was not very high coming in, and it's been elevated substantially right now.
I'd like to make the motion that we adopt the resolutions and the recommendation of staff for approval of this project.
And I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded, and let's vote. Congratulations. You carried 5-0. Welcome to Lake Forest. All righty, we're going to move right along to item number 6. And again, Nikki, please introduce. We'll open up the public hearing.
Yes, thank you. Site development, this is a site development permit to establish a baseball training academy and to construct a mezzanine addition inside the facility in an existing light industrial building, and we have a report from Ron Santos.
Chair Fuentes and Commissioners, this item is the site development permit to establish a baseball training facility in an existing 9,900 square foot light industrial building located at 27151 Burbank. In addition, the applicant is requesting approval of a 2,500 square foot mezzanine addition. The facility includes batting cages, a weightlifting area, offices, a pro shop, locker rooms, a lounge, and a lobby, and would serve up to 35 members ages 8 to 18 and 10 professional baseball players during the Major League Baseball off-season. Hours of operation would vary depending on the season, but are generally between 10 a.m. and 9 p.m. The use would operate entirely indoors. Because the city's code does not specify a parking standard for commercial or recreation uses, the required parking is determined on a case-by-case basis in conjunction with the SDP. In this instance, the applicant submitted a parking study to assist the city in determining the parking requirements for the use. The parking study was prepared by a consultant hired by the applicant, and it concluded that the use as proposed would be adequately served by the 24 parking spaces that are located on-site outside of the gated loading dock area. The loading dock area includes an additional 4 parking spaces. The parking study was provided as attachment 3 of the staff report. Staff is recommending approval of the permit on the basis that the use would be code compliant and general plan compliant, compatible with surrounding uses, and not expected to generate adverse impacts. That concludes staff's presentation. The applicant is here, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Ron?
This business is already in operation, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So are we approving then the expansion to the upper mezzanine? Is that kind of what we're looking at, or?
Well, both the use and the expansion, essentially the action would be, an approval action would be retroactive to what's already been done.
All right, if we have no more questions for Ron, then we're going to see if we have any speakers. Dave Martin? Hi, Dave, if you could just state your name again and your city of residence.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Commissioners. My name is Dave Martin. I live in Dana Point, and I'm the Director of Baseball Instruction at the Bobby Crosby Baseball Academy. I'm here tonight to answer any questions you may have about the vision that Bobby has for teaching the game the right way and impacting the lives of the young people here locally. So,
No questions?
I like this guy already. But I'm biased. I'm biased. I'm a huge baseball fan. I have a grandson who made the Angels Elite team this summer. I was part of the El Toro baseball varsity team that won CIF, and so I looked at this and I go, yippee skippy. I mean, I'm all in. So I appreciate what you're doing to influence the lives of young boys that are becoming young men.
I've been coaching youth sports and all the way through high school for 25 years, and I've never been a part of something like this. It's special. It really is. I can't say enough about it. It's just I look forward to getting up every day and patting kids on the back, because we at the BCBA, we see too many people doing it. Kids are just coaches have such an impact on the lives of kids, and I grew up without a father, so for me personally, my coaches were my dads, and that's why I got into coaching, was so that I could return the favor and just be, that positive impact that I could.
Thank you for what you do.
My pleasure.
I like the idea of those pro players between 7 and 2, but, I like the kids too.
Yeah.
All right, so any other speakers? Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
And we will bring it back up here.
If there's not a lot of discussion, I would like to make a motion, unless somebody wants to cut me off.
No, you go for it. Go
Okay.
Chargers.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to move that we approve staff's recommendation and close the public hearing.
I'd like to second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Let's vote. Whoa, that's a home run. Okay, we are going to move on to item number 7. Congratulations and welcome again to Lake Forest. I guess because they've already been here. Item 7.
Okay,
Thank you, Nikki.
Commissioners, in your packet, you have a brief staff report on this item. We are requesting that you remove it from the calendar at this time. Staff needs a little bit more time to research the issue, and we'll bring it back at a future date.
So do you just need a formal motion for that?
And I guess I should mention, this is zoning code amendment 816-4955, amending the Lake Forest Municipal Code regulating the personal, medical, and commercial use of marijuana in the city. Yes, just a motion.
Make a motion to remove that from the calendar.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Let's vote. All right. So now we are going to go on to director's comments. That would be you, Nikki.
Me again. Thank you so much. So just as a reminder, I have a reminder and a teaser for the next meeting, so I'm pretty excited about it. As a reminder, there are 2 upcoming training opportunities that the Commission is welcome to speak with Peggy about if you'd like to go. The first is the September 22nd Planning Directors Association of Orange County Planning Officials Forum, and that's at the Richard Nixon Presidential Library from 7:30 to 3:45. And again, that's Thursday, the 22nd of September. And then the American Planning Association California State Conference is coming up in Pasadena, October 22nd through the 25th. So again, contact Peggy if you'd like to go to either of those. And then as far as the teaser goes, earlier this summer, the City Council had requested that the Planning Commission review citywide parking issues, and more specifically, as part of that, parking issues in the Bennett Ranch neighborhood over there near Cherry and Geronimo, near the light industrial area. So we are going to be agendizing a workshop, maybe the first of a couple or a few, to begin discussion on this issue. It will be a chance for the public to come address the Commission as well on these issues, and we're going to frame the discussion for you in a staff report that'll be to you at the next for the next meeting, and then we'll work through issues, get some direction, and follow up as appropriate. So again, that'll be with you on the October 13th Planning Commission meeting. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. City Attorney comments?
No comment.
Thank you. All right. So Planning Commission comments. Do you want to start down on my far right?
Good job, staff. And I hope that we get a little feedback from that traffic situation, the crosswalk, and the idea of maybe reducing the speed zone through there. The other thing I want to mention about that workshop, a big thank you. That's probably the most overlooked part of our city, and we need to really focus our attention on that part of the city. So thank you very much. It's welcomed. And I'm attending both events, and if anybody's interested, Pasadena's a little ways up. Maybe we can carpool. Thank you.
And then about the speed limit situation, of course, we'll have to get traffic engineering involved in that, because I'm not a big fan of crosswalks. I think it gives people a false sense of security. So a speed limit situation might be helpful on that, but you have to do the whole street. There's school zone requirements and all that probably traffic engineering would have a better handle on that. So, but I think that's a good idea if we can get that going.
Thank you, Mark. Jerry?
I just want to thank staff for another great evening, well-prepared presentations.
I was just impressed with the quality of the projects tonight. I think that the things that we're seeing as a trend that are being brought before us are really exciting. I think we're seeing a lot of improvements to the city that are really going to be helpful and will attract more people to want to live here and increase our property values and make the city a better place to live.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, well, I am happy to report that the 99-cent store PCN, the off-sale beer and wine license that we approved and was subsequently called up to the City Council by Councilman Gardner, was approved again on Tuesday night at their meeting. I attended because I was curious why we were subjecting one of our friendly businesses to more red tape after having them wait for months while we and the council came up with a PCN policy. I believe we followed the council's new policy when we approved the PCN. Well, it appears Mr. Gardner was concerned about the quality of the liquor the 99-cent store sells to their clients. His language regarding the taste of beer was distasteful, and his comments regarding the type of wine sold could be interpreted as judgmental, discriminating, and arrogant. Clearly, it is not the role of government to micromanage a private business by dictating what type of brand of items they should carry and sell. So I would just like to publicly thank Mr. Steve Rollins, the 99-cent store, and all of our Lake Forest clients for the business they bring to our city. And with that, we'll adjourn.